Hello, I'm Edward Newsom on this Chatterbox Cinema, and this is
And I'm Billy Manning. And this week, you are going to find out if Edward remains in a relationship or is single,
Ooh,
and our thoughts on the movie that has taken the world by storm, K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, before we talk about the movie, what were your like going in? Did you have any knowledge of the film, or like how did you hear about it?
my partner. It was one of it was one of his favorites the minute it came out, and we were on vacation together, and he asked to watch a movie. I'm gonna be honest, it was not it's not my typical movie that I'd watch, but he kept telling me about the animation style, and it's not what you think it is, because like he's the type that really likes like rom coms and stuff. And
Uh-huh.
that's not usually my style. And I thought it was gonna be like a really dorky, you know. But no, it was definitely not what I thought it was gonna be at all. How about you?
Same. No, like I had a friend who is really big into anime say you have to watch this film, and I put it off for a bit because I was watching. I think I was finishing up a series. I think I was finishing Discovery of Witches, and I didn't want to like disrupt it because I had already took a break from watching stuff, and I came back in and finished that. Well, anyways, I kept hearing about this, how big it was. I kept seeing that like they were on the voice actresses were on the like talk shows and fans were wanting concerts and the world was going crazy. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll sit down and watch it and give it an honest like opinion, give it a
Yeah,
viewing and try to form my thoughts.
but I would say it definitely surprised me because like I'm not big with the K-pop thing. I'm not sure how much like K-pop you listen to.
None,
Um,
none going into this.
and
I've heard of it and I respect it, but I've never actually sit down to listen to it, and that may need to change. I think I might have been missing out on that music. So
I think that's what I also realized because like I was kind of one of those people that kind of blew off K-pop, because like everyone knows the K-pop fandoms are very intense group of people. They kind of have that infamy on the internet of just being a little out there.
right, and sometimes we could talk about that at some point, but sometimes you become part of a fandom, or there's like parts of the fandom that are very toxic, and then you have a few of those very like chill groups where everybody's cool and everybody is very open to different opinions. So I feel like there's probably going to be a variety of people that are into this. I know my friend, his kids both love the film, and it's in a lot of theaters now are actually like AMC and local theaters are actually doing like limited releases because of how much like it's been watched. They're saying it's the number one Netflix movie in history. It passed up a lot of the other stuff, and it might be the most watched Netflix original. I'm not sure on that. I do know for sure though it has passed all the movies they've done.
Well, I do see why because it does really. Once you watch the movie, you can definitely see it has universal appeal. Because I think at any age you could probably enjoy this movie. Like it's not directly targeted to a younger audience.
Oh, you want anime? We've got that. You want action? We've got that. You want music? We've got that. You want story arcs and character arcs? We have that. That was what kind of I enjoyed about it, and we'll get into each thing. But the first thing I noticed, the animation style is just fantastic.
And I like and now that like the Disney effect of like the weird CGI like Lion King, the hyper realistic no soul in the characters
Yes.
at all. It was such a nice pace from that where they're really expressive. They really played up the medium. They used the medium to their advantage. And I watch a lot more anime, but it had that anime style, but out was still different in itself. As someone who watches quite a bit of anime.
Yeah, it was very distinct. It stood out to me. Like I remember watching Coco and going, "Oh my god, look at this animated style." They had their own unique vision for how they wanted it to look, and so their animation style. I'll just say this: it's top of the line. Like it's just a gorgeous film to watch. The way they did all the color schemes and the animation style, it was
And
just
like,
great.
with a movie like this, you run the risk of being cheesy with like the fight scenes being like musical. But because of how cool the animation is, it doesn't really come off that way. You know what I mean? Like even though they're singing and all that stuff, it does not come off like High School Musical at all. You know?
Right, that's what I was afraid of, was that it was gonna be like But then at the beginning it talks about the king of demons, and then it says our music ignites the soul and brings people together. I'm like, and that every new generation there's a new trio of hunters, and I'm like, wow, they've got really cool lore here. And then it introduces to the Huntrix members, which the fans are
Can we
like
just
going
take a minute to talk
crazy.
about the character design and how each character is like? It's just like the character design is so cool. You can see how this would be great for selling toys and merch, and they're all so distinct and like, but they still look like people. And I like that like all three of the girls are giving their own very distinct appearances.
Yeah, the hair's all different. Um, Everything like they definitely are very unique. Like Rumi has the purple hair.
Yeah, that with the big braid.
Right, and Mira was the one with I believe the like the reddish hair,
Yes.
and then Zoe has like black hair.
Yeah, and I really like that, like because Rumi is hiding her marks. You know that she always has like she's the only one that ever wears the long sleeves. It makes sense later on. Like you won't know from like the first couple minutes of it, but like once it's revealed, you know why she has that distinct look.
My thoughts were, oh, she gets cold really easily. Like that was my
Yeah.
first thing, and
But she's
she's that
wearing a
one
crop top with
friend.
long sleeves, so she must not be that cold.
Right, but it's like her arms are always cold, you know. She's that one friend. Will you turn down the will you turn up the heat and it's like 85 degrees in the room and they're still cold somehow? And I know a few people like that. So that was my first thoughts was that, oh, her arms get cold or something. I didn't really because you know, you going in, it wasn't like there was this giant comic book series or anything.
Yeah,
So going in, you didn't really know much. And I went in blind. I didn't sit down and watch a bunch of trailers. I didn't actually see a bunch of the songs on TikTok or anything. I actually didn't go in. I wanted to go into this as blind as possible. So when it was suggested, I didn't look up anything. The only thing I looked up was like the runtime and the reviews, and 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't always a lot of weight because anytime you have a rating system, sometimes there's a little bit of bias against certain types of films. So even with us, you know, we're just like you said, this is ultimately a
our
form of
taste.
entertainment. Right. But yeah, I love the looks. They all have different clothes. And then even their descriptions, like it says, Mira was the black sheep of her family. She's the visual lead dancer. Zoe's a rapper and lyricist, and she grew up in America. And then Rumi, her mom was a Sunlight sister, so she's pop star royalty. So they all have different backgrounds. So that made me like, okay, what are these characters about? Give us some more. Like I'm intrigued already. You're already getting me interested in your characters and your world because of like how they opened it with giving the background of the world, the duty of the trio, and Huntrix.
And the Hamoon plot is just a really cool thing. You know what I mean? I like the Hamoon thing worked really well, you know. Because like,
It
how are
did,
you
but
gonna explain why they have to be K-pop stars to slay demons? You know, you because I was when I went in the movie, it's like how does these two things connect? You know, and I feel like
yeah,
they did it in a really nice way.
like their voices are their power, which I
Yeah,
really liked. I thought it was unique. I thought that it was really cool to see throughout the film how the world was shifting based on what was going on. It was there was it reminds me of one concept. Have you ever seen X-Men what was the name of the movie? New Mutants. Have you seen New Mutants?
yes,
They use an analogy that there are two wolves, one that represents all things pure and good. That's the white wolf, and the black wolf represents like hate, negativity, darkness. Which one wins? And they say the one you feed. So this movie to me kind of felt like a metaphor for that in a lot of ways.
and I think you see that a lot with Rumi's character arc of like she does have this roots, and what does that mean? Like, what does where I come from make me who I am is a lot of the questions. Or does my and with Genu, you really get the question of does my past define me? Does my past actions define me for literally in this movie eternity?
Right. It's like, does your past and your background can it be overcome? Are you destined to be who you are just because of where you come from and what your past is? Does that truly define you, or can you grow and can you be something more or something else? And I really thought that was a good question within the movie, and then just for people in general. I think that's why people relate to it is because it sort of makes you question your own life. Like, okay, does my past, no matter how bad, how good, does that truly define me, or is there more there? And it got me thinking about things. I really like a movie that actually makes you think and reflect on,
I
things.
also like they didn't overdo it. It wasn't. I think it was a very layered movie, but it wasn't overly messy or complex. It wasn't muddled. It was very clear messaging throughout the movie, and they were very good at sticking with that. Especially like even with like the love interest thing with Genu, but like the story, maybe on paper it seems simple, but they added a lot to it while still keeping the plot pretty, hero's journey almost.
Yeah. And I like that not everything was predictable. There were twists and turns along the way to get where you were going. Like I didn't know exactly where it was going. And then there were moments where you're like, oh crap, that actually happened. And so I like that too. It's the journey that this movie took you on that stuck with me the most. I
And I
appreciated the
think
most.
they balance both comedy and drama really well. Like some of the lines, like I love when the Saja boys are first shown, and he's telling the Demon King or whatever, like, "Hey, I got an idea," and they're like a boy band, and then all the hot men arrive, and they're all like, "Yeah, never mind, this is actually gonna work. You were right. This is how we get them."
I love that. That was so, so funny. And I think one of the other ones when they're in the plane and they're trying to get to their concert, they're carb loading. It's like these are just women that like to eat. That's cool. Like that's awesome. And then they're sitting there shoveling all this food down. And then as the plane is like destroyed and getting ready to like they're getting ready to jump out of this plane that's crashing, they just are like, yeah, this plane trash, and they just sit there and finish the ramen real quick and then jump. Like just that little detail. It did have a balance of comedy and seriousness, which I like too, because there are moments where you're laughing at how silly they are. Then when they're going couch, 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 is that not one of the most relatable things in the world? At the
I
end of a
the
long workday.
movie the movie did feel really relatable, and like to go back into the last thing you said about them eating, I think that's cool, especially because the K-pop industry is often known for their treatment of women and like really restricting K-pop stars' diet. That they chose to do the opposite of that and show that women eating's a good thing, like it's normal, like you know what I mean. Especially when they're hitting an audience that's often demonized.
Yeah, and for women in general, that's one thing I do hate, and I'm glad they addressed that in a kind of a nonchalant way where they're not sitting here and saying this, they're showing you like you
Yeah.
are supposed to eat for energy. It's the way it goes. I mean, so yeah, I like that they did that, and I didn't know that about the K-pop stars with that with like their diet restrictions. That's terrible. To me, is you need to make sure you're getting enough calories to be able to go out there and perform.
Yeah, and it's also just nice to see a three main lead women who are human beings and like don't look beautiful all the time and have like their craziness to them, like they're really fleshed out, and the fact that like, and I know it sounds like so beyond the like the bar or whatever, right? But like seeing just women eat and laugh and have fun and be able to be dorky or gross is just nice to see in a movie.
Right, because they're sitting there after the food, and I think one of them burps, the other one you can hear their stomach from eating too much
Yeah,
food.
like let women burp and fart and whatever. Like it's kind of nice, you know.
Yeah, like it's just these unrealistic standards that women are held up to. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that they address
We
that
can
in a
definitely
way.
say yeah, I looked up because I nearly forget the name of the test, but uh, this movie definitely passed the Bechdel test. You know what that is?
No, I don't. Go ahead and inform me here.
It's like the feminism woman test. So like some of the things are like to like fewer than so like to like not pass the test, like it has to have a scene where a woman talks to another woman about something other than a man, has to have at least two women speak to each other, has to have at least one like basically it's a list of questions, and most movies don't pass them. I forget, but it's better now, but like a lot, like even up to 2015, only about 60% of movies passed the Bechdel test.
Wow.
With some of the basic questions of just having two women talk to each other.
That's crazy. And then not all being obsessed with like their
A
love
man without
interest.
having to talk about love interest.
Right. 60%. So I wonder if with the way society's shifting, I wonder if we're going to see that number increase to like 70, 80
Well,
at some
like
point.
the chart I have pulled up, so the first year they took it, the 1970, only about 20% of movies passed the Bechdel test. And now, as of 2015, the last time they took it, about 70% do.
I'm curious to see where we'd be at in 2025. If we're stayed about the same, if it's decreased a little bit, increased a little bit.
Yeah,
There might
I
be like
think
a
they
shift.
need to retake that survey on the movies.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, but like what you said, and two, oh, can we also talk about the soundtrack?
Oh, this is. I mean, we'll get to the scores by the end of it, but like you just know this is a 10 out of 10 score. Like I'm just like I can't even hide that because this like I still listen to songs like on my car. Like it's just they're good songs.
Today, I was driving over to buddies of mine, and I was blasting the music, and like there's 3 or 4 of them that just I had on repeat. They're, like, so good. Yeah, and their singing ability, oh my god, I looked up, like, these voice actresses are, like, 40s,
I
most of
know,
them, like, the main
and
3. I'm like, "Really?"
I watched a few interviews with them. They all seem like great people. Like I love the actresses. They seem like really sweet, down to earth people, and like they're very talented.
The woman who voiced Mira, I felt like she could have been on, like, that '70s show. Her sarcasm,
Yes.
her delivery is perfect. Like,
But
just the
also,
way
I
she
love how she
delivers it.
delivered the serious lines, especially when you see that conflict between her and Rumi on the train
Yes.
and the hurt. Like she was able to portray that hurt really well as well.
I agree with that. I really thought that that added to it. There's tension within this trio, and like what the doctor, that they have to focus on the whole, not just the parts, in order
Yes.
to. So I think that there was a big message there. Like, in order for this trio to achieve their goal, they're gonna have to heal as a whole group and work together better.
And I would say the character I probably related the most though was Zoe.
Really?
Yes. Believe it or not, especially when they got because like once the honeymoon was hurt, once Rumi was fighting her own demons, some of her thoughts like because you know how everyone started thinking like negative thoughts about them because like I'm
Yes.
a very over the top person. I really related to her almost ADHD ness, and then
Right.
her bad thoughts about herself were like, "Am I too much? Have I pushed everyone away? Am I too much? Am I too loud?" And those are questions I've asked myself my entire life. Am I too much to be around?
So you related to her character because of her thoughts and like what she was going through
Yeah, and like
personally.
I feel like I always feel like I'm loud and a little bit goofier, maybe a little bit like like I connected to her, and then when you got to get her like almost deeper feelings with him, and also being someone that's always trying to like mediate, like, but also being highly emotional, you know.
Well, this is why we're friends, because of the fact that you are like, you stood out to me as far as like, oh, this would be a cool guy to be friends with. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, we hit it off that way.
I got bright hair. I'm loud. Like I'm a big personality, and I related to seeing like this big personality on the screen.
I liked it. I hope that what we get, and I'll just say this now, what I'm hoping we get is a movie, like a movie that focuses more on Zoe for a film and her insecurities, and then a movie that focuses on Mira, so we get more background for these other two. I would love to see that, or even a series. But I related to Rumi the most. I think it's because um she places, like, I guess I relate to her in the way that she expects a lot of herself, and sometimes you can't just hold everything in. Sometimes you actually do have to let other people know what's going on with you, and so I've done that in the past, so I can relate to Rumi a lot. So her story, I was like, "Man, why am I feeling so much right now?" Like, it was just one of those. But I
I would say
absolutely
like
love her character.
what I found really cool about this movie is I can pretty much relate about something with each of these characters, and I think that's because they're very common things, um, and insecurities. And like like with Rumi, I really related to like is this thing that I was born as, or is this thing like does that define me?
Right.
And then and I think with like I was talking about genuine stories, does your past define you? If you do something bad, are you bad forever? Like, and I think these are all very big questions we ask ourselves in life. So it was, I think, like with each character, at least most people can take a little bit away from everybody.
Definitely. There's a lot you could take away from each character, like you said. And it is a question to ask. Are there people that can't be redeemable? Or is it you just beating yourself up so much for your past mistakes and decisions? And anime culture in general, any like a Studio Ghibli stuff I've watched, Your Name, I really, really like anime culture. I think they tackle a lot of issues in a better way than what we do sometimes. I really do. I think sometimes the way we portray different things with American film
Yeah.
is wrong. It's not always correct. I think sometimes when you watch
I would
Japanese,
say
Korean.
within animation in general, the Western world has been lacking for a long time, and I hate because I feel like a broken record. The Disney fication of like losing, like if you like, I'm just gonna use the comparison, like the original Lilo and Stitch to the remake of Lilo and Stitch. You know, like that was a Lilo and Stitch. The original movie was a great movie with great
Yeah,
morals, with lovable characters. The animation was beautiful and unique and interesting. And then we get the remake of Lilo and Stitch, this weird live action cash grab where they just lose the plot. You know,
I
and
didn't
I
go
think
see it.
it was terrible. I mean, like it was just bad, and it's just sad to see that like we've lost. I think at least in the Western world, I think the last really good recent animated movie I said was Inside Out 2. Or maybe I don't know if I think Going Red was also one I liked, but I don't know which one came out after one.
I'm trying to remember. I think Coco was the last big one I really thought was just amazing, but I haven't seen the titles you just mentioned. That's probably why.
But that's
But is
been a long while, you know. Like
it
I haven't seen any good Western animation films of recent years that are popular and like are getting that attention.
the best anime films I can say I've seen within like the last 10 years? Your Name, some of the Studio Ghibli stuff I really enjoy. That might even be a little bit older than that. And there's Boy and the Beast, but a lot of it comes from Japan. A lot of it comes
Yeah,
from it's not from United States. And I think that there's something to be learned here for filmmaking in America that we could do better with so much stuff. You know what I mean?
and
Like
also like let's drop the dumb hyper realistic CGI and let animation be animation with the big characters and the bright hair and the big eyes and the big reactions and things. Like let's go back to animation actually using animation strength because you might as well just go outside and film it if you're going to use weird CGI animation for now and forever.
right, I hate when they do that where it's like it's supposed to look realistic, but you can tell it's animated, but they're like, "Oh yeah, we're trying to go for realistic animation." Why? Why not?
Why
Because
not make them like express?
there's so much more you can do with animation. So use those, like you're saying, use those strengths to make your movie better. If you're going to be animation, don't hesitate against. I think that's why I've always liked like practical effects better. I don't like the weird CGI stuff they're going for. Um, back to what we were talking about though. So we have this boy band that shows up,
Yes, the Saja Boys.
the Saja.
My reason for originally watching this movie.
For some reason, whenever I heard Saja Boys, Soldier Boy was in my head, and I'm like, okay, because the names. But they have a unique plan. They want to threaten to eat, kill, whatever you want to say, Huntress's fans. So they're actually going to go after the fans.
And I will
That's the
say, just
plan.
before we get into all that, you know, since you're not attracted to men, Billy, they are hot. They are fine K-pop men. There's trust me, you can pick one that is your type. That was one. Listen, that was a draw with my movie, at least for me. They
That's
definitely
what drew
did the
you in.
whole. Yeah, they definitely because like you know like the BTS craze of like having the boy bands that are super hot. They definitely did that really well. Like they animated them, you know, peak right there.
I will say, Rumi and then Ginu vocally, wow, just outstanding in
Ooh.
this movie. Whenever they had this song where they're singing together, I was like, oh my god, like they had
Genius
very
voice,
good
I would
chemistry.
say the Soulja Boy songs, they slap. Okay, I do. I even like the stupid little soda pop song. Okay, like that's
That one's catchy. I like whenever they're trying to be mad, but their shoulders are still moving and they're
yeah,
like dancing to the song and they're like, I want to hate you. And she sees the abs and like has the popcorn coming out of her eyes and everything. And
yes,
they even make fun. They even have fun with it. Like when the hearts are flying, they go, really? Hearts to fly in midair? Like they're in on the joke, but not
yes.
too much. You know what I mean? Where they're like, really? How is this happening? And I just thought that added another little detail to the movie that made it more endearing.
It was, and I love that once again. Like we were talking about using animation how it's supposed to be used, doing things you couldn't do in live action. But I will also say, like, my favorite song from the Soldier Boys was "I Want to Be Your Idol" or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Man, I play that all the time. Like that hits.
That's one I kind of skip.
I like it. It has that intensity juxtaposed to Golden, which is very light note. While this one's a lot more mischievous and dark.
That's true. Like they're no longer like at the beginning, they're trying to hide their intentions, and then that song they're like, okay, yeah, like everybody's zombies now, we're all, we're all demons, we're here to do bad stuff, but the people are sort of zombies now, so they don't really have any objection to it, like when they're doing that performance at midnight. And I thought that seeing that shift where at first they come in this way and then they're acting this way later on in the film, I thought that was really cool.
And I also just love a good villain story. Okay, like someone like going back to like Disney animation, some of the best music animation comes from the villains.
Oh, 100%. Because a lot of times your good guys have to follow certain rules. So your villains usually have the best story arcs and the most intriguing backgrounds and characters because they're allowed to do things the heroes aren't allowed to do. You see it in, like I see it, like I see it in wrestling. I see it in all kinds of stuff where anytime you're being a good guy, you have certain things you have to follow. And then when you're a bad guy, you get to have more fun and play around. Because you see a lot of the movies you watch, it seems like the villains have the most fun with their characters.
I would say I think in this movie, all of them were treated pretty equally because a lot of our heroes were able to make morally ambiguous decisions or feel torn between what should they do the good thing or the bad thing, especially with Rumi. You know, she had to choose.
And it was really neat the way they showed Rumi as a kid, and it said that her father was a demon and she has to hide her patterns. Like the message they're given at the beginning of this film, they're saying is we must hide our flaws, we must hide our
Yeah.
weaknesses. And even to that even stretches to each other. Like they're
Mhm.
afraid to reveal certain things about themselves because when the
And I do think that
doctor
they never explain Rumi's parents, right? Because how
just said
did
her
they?
dad was a demon.
Yeah, and that her mom was a huntress, and
Right.
so that leads to so many questions that like I
Could
kind of
we
like that they don't answer.
could we get a prequel movie explaining that at some
Yeah,
point?
because like, what was their romantic relationship? Like, what? How? Like, if she was a huntress, does that mean like her mom dated a demon? What happened to her mom? Did he kill her? Like, what was the full story? And is her dad still down there? Like, is because we, you know, what I mean, like all the demons are still around. Is her dad still down there?
Right. I'm curious to hear. The big twist would be if she would have found out that the king was her dad or something.
That'd be pretty cool. But I feel like he
No,
would
it
have
wouldn't.
he would have because he was surprised by her.
Right. So it's not, but yeah, is the demon still there? Are we getting a prequel at some point that explains her parents' origins? Are we going to get other stuff that explains the other two characters here to develop them a little bit further? Because you get the insecurity with Zoe, and then Mira, when the doctor's trying to analyze her doctor, she just looks at him and gives this intense glare, and he like backs up, So that was
Well, I
really
love that they got
interesting.
that big staring contest for like a song.
Yes. And then the remedy turns out to be grape soda or
Yes.
whatever.
I also like that they said that Rumi her flaw was kind of like having walls. Like she built walls around herself to protect herself because of her being the black sheep of the family, you know.
Right. And you can definitely tell she's guarded at times.
Yes.
She's afraid to reveal stuff. It's not just the patterns, it's just like
She
she
was
doesn't
mad,
want to
she wasn't
show
mad about the pattern. She was mad that it was kept a secret from her and
right.
that she was lied to.
She was lied to, so then that meant she lied to others as well. So it just carried on. So by her the mentor, and I forget her name, the mentor telling them to lie,
Well, like
it
I
just
kind
made
of
it
hated
worse.
that bitch. I did not like the mentor lady.
What was her name? It started with a C, didn't it?
I don't remember. I didn't like her enough to remember her name.
Yeah, I will say that was one character that I didn't care for, but it added more layers to the story because they're keeping all this stuff in.
Celine, I think her name was Celine.
Celine, that's it. What I found really interesting when they have the fight in the bathhouse and
Yes.
Rumi's sleeve, her arm becomes partly exposed, and you see uh Genu getting close to her, and you find out he actually tied a thing over her arm so they wouldn't see it. So he didn't have to do that. It's kind of ironic that he's sending demons to attack them, but then he's also helping her. Because
Yeah.
then he has this whole moment where he's sort of like a hunter, a demon who's a hunter. And it's just like he's sort of contemplating, like maybe there's more, maybe it's not all black
Well,
and
like
white
he knows
thinking.
that if you have the marks, that you must be haunted by something. all demons are like hunted by something. That's why like the demon can control his flashbacks.
Right. And it's interesting that the Demon King can't control her.
Yeah, because she's been disconnected, but you see her marks almost control her when she like gets angry, and then those flashbacks start to come to her as well. So
Right.
it doesn't seem like it's completely tied to him, but like somehow your insecurities and your anger is tied to the demon's marks.
Exactly. So then the question becomes, if a demon hypothetically were able to overcome their shame, their guilt, whatever's causing them, could they break free of that?
Well, I think Rumi kind of proves that by the end of the movie, you know,
Yeah, yeah, because she still has
but
the
they're not
markings,
like glowing and active or whatever you would call it.
right? So it's one of those questions where is she still evil because she's part demon? And I think we
Well,
got the answer to
I
that.
think to
No.
me it represents that like I think your internal battles leave scars, but it doesn't. It's not going to be a forever thing. Like eventually they will fade. There'll always be a touch there, but they're not always going to be, you know, because like they're lighter by the end, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah, because they get really lit up whenever she's getting really angry or and
Yeah,
feels out of control. And the big thing is that it's affecting her voice, which is her power. So she does not know, and she even says, "I'm so close." Like she doesn't know what to do without her power, which is coming from her voice, because that's the hunters. That's their power, is their voice and their ability to sing and use their voice to drive out the evil and to try to achieve their goal here. So I thought it was just really cool the way they did that. And then the music, like the scene where the what damn it, why can't I think of the name of the boy band again?
Saja Boys.
Soja Boys, when they're in the studio and they're like, we have a special guest because they all have their
Yeah.
weapons out and they're getting ready to attack him and they have to hide it behind him and smile. And there's like this whole fake kissing each other's butt things. And they have the
Yeah.
scene where they're bowing lower and lower and you can hear their backs pop. Like, just it's so
I love
fun.
the slides like because I knew they'd be wearing leather, and they're like, let's get the plastic slide, and it's that horrible noise,
It was so funny watching them awkwardly go down the slides with how slow they were moving
and
and
the whole
just like
audience just watching in horror.
and then like get in the balls. Huntrix
Yeah.
is in the balls. It's like, oh my god, really? Like that just
I really love the scene where you see them all interact at the like the meet and greet.
oh, where the fans slide over to two lines and they's like,
Yes,
look, they're gonna sit with us, and they all sit at the same extended table. That was so cool. Because it was just cool to see the fan shift and then come back. And then the fans like, oh, they're playing footsies under the table. And then the little girl gives um Genu a paper that says like you have a good soul or whatever it was, something like
oh
that,
yeah,
along
and
those lines.
that punched me like a gut. But I did also just like seeing both the bands have to interact with each other. Like I know we didn't get to see too much of the other Saja boys that much, but it was nice to see them have to interact with obviously Rumi's group.
Right, and it her bandmates, they don't know that this weird sort of dynamic is forming between these two.
Yeah,
It almost to me for a minute there, I thought they were kind of going West Side Story, like can the demon be with like can they be together kind of thing. And
yeah.
I'm glad in a way that they didn't go full on romance with the whole storyline. It was more
Well, it
about
was definitely romantic, and I think we'll see more of it later because I don't think he's dead dead. I hate to not to spoil it for everybody, but he does technically like look like he dies. But I know they're making a sequel, and I have a feeling that we'll be seeing him again.
I would like to see him maybe because he's freed his soul now. What if he could come back as like a guardian angel or something?
I just I don't know how it's gonna play out yet. I don't even have any theories. I just maybe it's because I want him back. I just have a feeling like they wouldn't have built all of that up, you know, because I feel like that there's still momentum to their to those two stories.
I agree. The question is though, do you think they keep all the focus on Rumi, or do you think they're gonna try to give more time to the other girls?
Um, I bet there will be more time for the other girls because the Saja boys will probably not exist again, right?
No.
I think they'll bring Genu back, but I think they'll be, since they want to focus on the Saja boys. I think there'll be more time for the other girls, but I still think the focus will be on Ruby.
Like how she's doing after all this.
How they're all doing. I think
Right.
they'll explore the girls more because they'll probably have more time for them. But I do think the main character here, where Brumi is our stand-in.
Yeah, and I think she's the strongest of the 3, at least the way they went with the story. I mean, I like all 3, but Rumi was the main focus in this one. And, you're focusing on the trio here. I'm just reading through some of my notes. Um, we get that Genu came from a poor, starving family. His family was taken care of in the palace, but in exchange, the demon patterns eventually consumed him. And then we learn more
Well,
about
then
what
we get the
actually
twist.
happened.
Yeah, and then we get the twist. Um, what I do like about that though is like, can you? Because at the time he would have been teenagers or maybe young 20s or whatever. You're living in poverty your whole life. It's hard to completely blame him. You know.
Well, and I was watching a reaction video today, and one point they brought up was how long was the demon in him? Was the demon part of him, the voice, did that force him to do that to his family? Was he in complete control whenever he betrayed his family? So that's
Well,
another
like
valid
I
point.
take the demon. I know they take it in a literal sense there, but I also think it's supposed to be metaphorical. I take it in like the demon probably was always there, because if you grew up in poverty like that, you're always going to be telling yourself, "I need more. I want more. I don't want this life anymore. I want And I think that that envy and that rage builds, and I think that's how the demon started in them.
That yeah, like it let it in basically.
Because I think we all have those thoughts of like, I wish I was richer. I wish I had all the things. And like a lot of people in real life do terrible things to get that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I like the battle between the Demon King and Rumi trying to help Jinyu because at times he wants to do the right thing, but then the demon is like, "Oh, this is how it has to be." Like, "Oh, you really thought you could become free." And so it's just like he's going back and forth because he has two external forces. He has Rumi, who is seeing the good in him, who is trying to pull that out of him, and then you have the Demon King, who is trying to bend him to his will. So he has this battle going on not only internally but externally too. Plus the guilt. So there's all these different factors. To me, he's actually probably the most interesting character, Genu. Just his story and
I
his
would say I
background.
did I did really enjoy Geno. I do wish though we could have got to know the other boys a little bit more, but all of that focus went on Geno. What I
Yeah,
didn't
I
get
mean, it wouldn't have hurt to have given the movie 10 more minutes to focus on some of the, or 5 more minutes even to focus on the other guys.
because like we don't know anything really about the other demons there with them.
No, because I had a theory for a minute that maybe that the other demons were like split pieces of Genu at one point. That was kind of like my
Yeah,
first thought was that it was actually just different manifestations of Genu.
but obviously by then we know that's not
That's
accurate.
not the case, right? But it was just so funny whenever the other girls would get like mad at them, like they're not that hot, and then they see their abs and they start getting like the goo goo eyes. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
was that was funny the way they did that.
but
Um,
but we did see peaks of personality. I think with the little boys, like I did like the I think that he was Baby Saja is what they called him, the one that drank the spicy
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I thought you saw the little peaks of character, but I just wish we got to know them a little bit better, because those little moments, just those little breadcrumbs, made me want to know these guys a little bit better. You know?
exactly. I do agree with that. I think given a little more development to the other characters. Another thing that's going on here is they're winning over fans, and the amount it says the amount of missing person reports tripled in the last 24 hours. So this isn't just like, oh, they're trying to get fans to buy their t-shirts. These are souls they're trying to feed to the Demon King.
Yes.
So it's kind of crazy how nonchalant they are about that. Like they're just like, yeah, we're just taking a few souls.
Well, like to them, I don't think it means anything, because if by what we know from Genius stories, they gave up their souls. They gave up, so they don't see it like this is their life. Like this is what they do now, and they all have the demons in them to like kind of make them go do these things, and they're hungry because it sounds like everyone's hungry down there.
Right. That's what it said because I like the story he tells at the beginning when Genu shows up and he's on top of the roof and he comes down and he talks about this great demon king and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, "How dare you mock me?" And he's like, "I'm not mocking you. I want to help you." But I just thought that was a really cool introduction for his character and kind of explaining the situation like there haven't been enough souls down here for a long time.
Yeah, so I see why they were, and also like we go. I do love, and it plays for laughs on the movie of like all these people are dying, and then we pan down to hell, and they're just all partying, like they're all just having the best time.
Right. Right, just like the struggles of the living versus like how carefree the king is down there, and well, I
Yeah,
can't
all of
say
a sudden he's
carefree, but
ginormous, and all the little demons are all celebrating and getting drunk, and they're all like celebrating the Saja boys once they get down there.
right. And like you said, what he said about earlier, it was like, oh, this isn't going to work. And then they see the guys like, oh yeah, this is totally going to work.
Yeah, yeah. I like what I said, like that's what I'm saying. Like they deal with the drama and the funny. It's like you get that moment of like, oh my god, people are dying, and then it cuts to like that comedic, all these crazy looking demons like living it up.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. I want to talk about Rumi's voice. She is going out on her during the beginning, and they're saying this is the last night of their world tour. They're going to go on a break, and they're going to get to their couch and eat and chill out and everything. But I liked that as the story goes, her voice is actually healing as she's talking to Genu.
Yes.
So I thought that was cool. And then they sing a song about how maybe they need to actually face what is challenging them, what's holding them back. So instead of running, actually run into it. And so I really liked that message as
Well, if
well.
you think about it, other than Celine, who's kind of this domineering figure uh in her life, Genu is the first person to truly know her and hear her,
Yeah.
and silence her,
And
and
I
that's
think, yeah,
just healing her voice.
yeah. And he's seeing her for who she really is. And he's not like judging her or trying to hold her to a different standard. But then she's also trying to help him understand that he still has redemption that can be had.
Yeah,
So I really
I
like
would
that.
say like when I said like I like that this movie was aimed at all ages because though you might want to write it off as a kids movie, like some of the darker scenes of like a genius family being sent away and that like the drama and like some of these darker scenes and like the idea of her probably being a bastard child and being like I feel like we wouldn't get that and like we were talking about Western child animation like a movie, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel
They
like we would ever handle those kind of topics.
they wouldn't handle it in such a way that that in a good way that you really learn and develop it. It would feel like, how do I say it? They would focus on the wrong things, right?
Yeah.
They might do it, but they're not going to focus on the right things most of the time. So, man, just the way they handled all of this was really great. I think there's something to be said, like you said, step it up, Western
Yeah, like
animation films.
I miss the old Pixar. I miss the old Disney. That charm is so far gone now.
It is. You see a trailer and you go, "Oh, another cash grab."
And like it is I think this will kind of because like Netflix is such a big thing. This was such a big hit in the West that maybe this will be like a cause and effect. Hopefully, we see that this is very marketable and you can have a great success with these kind of movies still.
Yes, you know what was crazy was when I was at that convention here a couple of weeks ago, was it or a week or so ago, there were people cosplaying as K-pop Demon Hunters, and it was so cool to
There's a
see. Like,
huge fan base. Okay, like there's a huge fan base. Like everyone that I've known to the movie just loves it to death.
which we'll get into our our final thoughts of it, but then there is the Idol Awards coming up,
Hmm.
and they're debating on what song to sing. They can't figure out a song. Rumi doesn't like the lyrics,
Well,
and
also
then they're
I do
saying,
like where she's like it's mainly because she doesn't want to be mean, but at the same time, like it feeds the demon to be hateful.
right, the hate feeds the demon. So the whole time, I think they don't. There's part of the concept they're missing, right? Like the
Yeah,
trio is focused on slaying demons. We can just keep killing every demon. Well, no, because there's still going to be hate out in the world that is feeding the leader of the demon. So until that's gone, you're not going to ever win. You can't achieve victory, true victory, until the hate is stopped.
and
Um,
also Golden is a great song.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite song. I replay that all the time. That's probably the one I've been replaying the most.
Like
Golden's
that was just
amazing.
a great song, and it helped the movie's themes a lot better than if they were hateful little bitches.
Yeah, like when you're listening to the lyrics of the songs, you're like, wow, what power and what thought and what character journey goes into each song. They express a lot of their thoughts through song as the film progresses. Because at the beginning, they're like these demons who have no soul, they don't deserve to live, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then that changes throughout the film. So you have Rumi questioning everything she knows, and the other two are like, something's going on with Rumi. We're not sure what it is. So I like that. At one point when they're doing the awards, they say Saja's fighting, so Huntress have to open the show, and Huntress goes out there and they sing a song together. And then, of course, these tricks happen where you have two different demons that take the shape of the other two. And so they reveal that she's a demon to everybody. They reveal the marks, and that leads to a breakup of the trio. And you're like,
Oh
damn,
yeah,
what? Why?
that was, man. And then I did love though hearing everyone's insecurities, and even like their manager or whatever. Like I'm not good. Like it just that related so hard because like they chose real insecurities. I think we all have thoughts about like I'm too much. No, I'm always gonna be an outcast. I shouldn't trust anybody. This all the negative thoughts, and it was nice that that was the real demon the whole time. With just the
Yeah.
whole negativity and kind of hate and self doubt.
The real thing holding them back wasn't always necessarily just the Demon King. It was the hate and the self doubt and the negative emotions that were the big enemy. And I think that was really cool is that you can look at the literal demon, but then you can look at the metaphorical demon, which was all the negativity and the hate. So
And
there
I
was
just
some,
think they handled that so well with like the in message being the only way you can't really get rid of it. You just have to face it, even though it's scary.
yeah, absolutely. That like they talk about like the song. Well, I'm trying to think of the song's name now. It's my other favorite, like probably my second favorite, where they're singing about like hope and stuff.
The end song,
No, there's a song where Remy is singing with Junie, and they're singing. Let me look it up real quick. They're having a moment where they're like face to face, and they start singing a song together about how like their shame and everything, how they can overcome
yeah.
it. It was for some reason the name's eluding me right now. Um, the song is "Free." They're
Right.
singing about being breaking free, and I thought that was a really good song as well.
I think that was the opening, wasn't it?
No,
Like,
free was the one where they were singing together,
because
kind
like
of
I remember,
midway through.
was the opening song Golden where they. I did like that the opening song told their backstories. You know what I mean? Like they rapped, like they all had they told their stories through the opening
Because there
song.
was Takedown and then Golden, and Golden was sang, I believe, twice. Because Golden was the single they were waiting to release
Yeah.
early in the film, but the opening
But then they
song I
had
think
a
was
song they
Takedown.
were released already in the beginning. They had
Yeah, I
just
think
gotten
that was
together.
Takedown,
No, Takedown was the one they wrote later for the battle of the
or
idol.
How It's Done, maybe one of those
Maybe it's
two.
how it's done.
Yeah, How It's Done. Because Golden was the single, and then they sing it later, and then you have Free, and then you have What It Sounds Like, which was more towards the end. That was the song where they're trying to create the new Han Moon, which was really cool. But yeah, there was really good songs throughout
Yeah,
the.
how it's done is the first song in the
Okay,
movie. I just googled it, and it is the like it introduces them.
okay.
I did like that one.
I mean, this whole soundtrack just slaps. It's great. Um, and then the twist where they break up, and then Saja's doing their live performance later on. Rumi shows up, and she's like, "The Han Moon's gone, so now we can make a new one." And they're not expecting that. The demon thought it was over, that the victory was secured, and that was kind of the end of it. That everything was going to
And I
be.
did like the message with that, of, like we have to build anew. We can't go based off of like, especially with her mom being in previous Huntrix, instead of like, because the other one was built from years and years. She was breaking tradition literally and creating a new one.
Yeah, creating a new one. There were it wasn't going to work. What the way they were going about it was not going to work. Um, there were also some of the lines in this film. Here's one. That's the funny thing about hope. Nobody else gets to decide if you feel it. That choice belongs to you. I'm like, damn. Like some of the lines in this film, man, you just really it's an emotional gut punch. You're like, holy, it gets you thinking. Like,
I would say I really like the dialogue of this movie.
Yeah, it questions a lot of things. Like, it's so easy to be negative, and you can't. Let's be honest. There's going to be negativity. Everybody's going to have a bad day. But it's like, are we as a society feeding the wrong wolf? Are we focused on the wrong things? And it makes you question that a little bit.
I think one of the better lines from Rumi, and this is the moment where I just like wanted to fucking dog Celine, is where she screams out, "Why couldn't you love me, all of me?" Like that. Ooh,
Yeah,
you feel that like probably decades worth of hurt.
yeah, because I feel like most people have their good and bad qualities. So loving someone is accepting them as they are, and you know having room for some grace, for some growth, and letting people make mistakes and learning from it to certain extent. But yeah, like she it's like, so you said Celine, right?
Yes, Celine, that's her
That
name.
she had her own agenda, that
And
she
also,
had her
I
own.
think she had the best intentions, but she was so controlling of the girls and didn't let them live their own stories.
Right.
Like Celine's present was just too overbearing almost.
It was, and I think it made a more of an interesting story because once again, if everybody's nice, if everybody's perfect, it does not work. Like the trio, I love them with the way they interact and everything. But yeah, you have to have those characters to balance out the story. If everybody's always so happy and so agree with everything, it doesn't make for compelling storytelling.
I agree, and I love that they were able to see through these shades of gray. You know what I mean? Because like I think the best part of this entire movie was the relationship between Rumi and Jinyu for me. They had the best quotes, the best conversations. I think the most was revealed about when we got those two characters on screen together.
It was sort of like for me being in a college class.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you leave high school, you have all these, this is how the world works. These are my thoughts on it. You go to college and people are like, why are you so limited with your views? Why is everything so black and white? And you start opening up to more, there's some gray in there. And you get discussions going and you start talking about things from a different perspective. And I think for Remy and Genu both, they both question each other's thoughts. Like,
Yes,
why are
and
you
they
feeling
challenge
this
each
this
other,
way?
and
Yeah,
they make them challenge their ideas.
right. They challenge each other. They grow. Why accept things that they have to be the way they are? And I really like that they went on that journey. I will say this. Okay, they defeat the demons. The world is healed, but then they meet three new girls. So is there going to be a new trio at some point? Are we? Was that kind of like the passing of
Well,
the
we know that there
torch?
eventually has to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we know there eventually has to be, but that's another thing that's very popular in the K-pop industry. You age out really fast. So like, how old are they? Because like I think like most K-pop artists are like under 30 or something crazy.
Oh wow.
I forget. Like they're like you have like the K-pop beauty standards I know are really extreme. I've seen that talked about a lot online on different and people that I know that are really into K-pop. That's one of the things they talk about a lot.
Why do you think that is?
The K-pop. So what I understand is much different than how we get like. So like most K-pop idols, and this is just from what I hear from K-pop fans in my own life, is like they have to like go to school for it. Like you just like you get chosen to be in one of these you get chosen by like BTS was not like from what I understand a band that like came together because they were all friends. A company like raised them to be artists and chose and handpicked them so they had like a rapper and then a lyricist and this and this and this, and they run their entire lives, right? So like how you look, what you eat, all of that is chosen for you, and that these uh, the K-pop industry is very very strict.
Okay, so basically, it's like you really don't have a lot of say in how you look and everything, and how you
Yeah,
express.
or like your image is so big. Like you watched. Did you watch? It's leaving me right now. The Death Game.
No, no, I haven't
The
watched
K,
Squid Game.
the Korean show.
Squid Game.
Squid Game. Yes.
I still need to watch that. That's one that I've
Well,
heard was really good.
what is really interesting is one of the characters is playing a disgraced like K-pop idol, and it's played by a guy that was real life K-pop idol, and his name is Top. I think that's his name. I think his name is Top. Anyways, he got caught like smoking weed or something, and he literally had to like publicly apologize and step down from his role. Like you have to have a perfectly like squeaky clean image, no controversy, live this completely like almost sanitized life, from what I understand, and be perfect
Oh,
in every way because you're an idol.
wow. So you're just held to a higher standard than everybody
Way
else.
higher standard.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a rough life because you hear about how hard it was for like Disney and Nick kids with how strict they
Yeah.
were. You didn't own your own hair. You had to like you could not do what you wanted to do with your hair. It's like, oh, your character's hair is red. It needs to stay red. You have to keep dyeing it no matter how much it's
Forever.
damaging you. Yeah.
Like
Well, no,
forever.
until you're out of it. Yeah. But yeah, it sounds like a
Or like
very
with
stressful life.
or if you know you're a 13-year-old girl and you gain a little weight and all of a sudden your contract might be up.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
that
it's just
teenage bodies
ridiculous.
grow like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, like how strict it is. So it sounds like there's also some bad traits to being a K-pop star.
Well, like I from what I heard, the K-pop being a K-pop star is like a really rough life. Like it's very every single one of their minute is managed. There's been like try like I think there's been like documentaries and stuff about it. But that's not to do with so much the K-pop culture, I guess. But this is like behind the scenes, you know.
Right, like everything looks good on camera because that's how you're trained to be, is make everything
Yeah,
look
and
good
that's
on
why there's
camera.
is such great talent because it's talent that is obviously uh, almost groomed since they're like a child, right? So that's why K-pop artists are, I would say, some of the most talented artists, at least on a skill-based level.
Right, well, like with this movie, you felt like those 3 were not just like friends, like they were sisters, like they live together and
Yeah,
they have their own lives and they are held to a certain. Now, I did like their manager though. I thought he was a really
yes.
endearing character and he really did want what was best for them, but he was kind of like a guardian figure, like don't let anything happen to these threes, let them
He was
sing,
like
and
the
they
big
just
brother. He was the big
they
brother because like he had
yeah.
fun with them. I loved his relationship with I think Zoe, where they, you know what I mean, like. And he was just adorable and he was fun and he supported the girls no matter what they did.
Right, and I love the like just the ridiculousness of how far he would go for them. But yeah, he was assigned to them like, hey, these are our girls, don't let anything happen to them. Oh yeah, and they just happened on top of singing, besides keeping their voice clear, make sure they're training so they can kick the crap out of some demons. You know, just a small thing they
Well,
do on the side.
I like that he never knows about the demons.
Okay, that part I did. I guess I thought he knew about it.
No, he had no idea. That's why, like, when they're on like the plane or whatever, they're like, "Don't tell him," and that they try to hide
Right.
it from him. Like, he'll turn his back and they'll stab one and like hide it behind their back real fast
Okay, that was funny then. Um,
because they're not because mortals. I guess like the I forget the reasons why. I'm sure the movie said, and I just don't remember. But Celine, I think, said something like the mortals don't know. You know,
gotcha.
none of
I
them can know.
I do plan on giving this another watch. I think when I watched it last night, it was probably like I think I started it at 9 o'clock at night. So I went and I worked all day. So it was like I think I started at 9. And then when I watch movies to actually actively review them, I will pause and rewind if I'm writing down a quote from the movie or if I'm trying to like understand something, I'll pause it, rewind it so I get it word for word correct. So that way when I'm talking to you, I'll know exactly what I actually wrote down. But
I have the benefit of having watched this multiple times now.
I only took front and back. It was like 4 pages total, so it actually was less than Strangers. I think just because a lot of it, I was so absorbed into the story that I was like not writing for a bit. It's like okay, I had to pause it so I could actually collect my thoughts to write it, and then I would continue it. So I would say it took me. It's about an hour and a half film. It took me like 2 hours to watch it, just because I was pausing it and really trying to like form my thoughts as I wrote it, and there was just so many things that were happening. It had something for everybody. And like you said, all ages. If you're back to what you're saying earlier about all ages. If you're 5 years old watching this,
You're gonna love
you're
it.
you're 15, you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s. Every step of life, I think you're going to take away something different from it. Your perspective will change.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I think what's great about this, and I wish the Western world would come back to this, as we would talk about the family movie. This is truly a family movie. You can sit down and watch this with the family, and everyone enjoy it.
Right. And everybody, because like little kids, they're gonna focus on different stuff than what the adults are. That's what makes it
Like
so
little kids are
fun.
gonna love the colors and the fighting and like, and then maybe a little bit, not to be stereotypical, but teenagers are gonna love the romance and the forbidden love aspect and like,
Right.
and like I just feel like anybody could sit down like a family. If you watch this with your family, I feel like everyone's gonna like it. Like, you know what I mean? We haven't had.
Yeah,
I feel like in the Western world, any animation movie is solely for kids. Like it's no longer like family movies don't exist. Like it's either for kids or for adults.
exactly. And it's nice to have a family movie where, like what you said earlier, it's not one of those cringy Disney films where the kids are loving it because they don't quite get what's going on and they didn't grow up with the original. And the parents are like, oh my God, why did they destroy this amazing movie? And this is what all they could do. Why did they
Yeah.
even bother with making a remake
And
of
like
this?
I remember like growing up, and I didn't get the jokes at the time, but like Disney movies used to have those little sly jokes that you wouldn't get as a kid, but your parents sure would.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
this movie has that. You know, like the little jokes that always are going over the little kid's head, and you know it's not profane or anything, but like it makes as an adult you get it, and it's funny, and the little kids don't even know what they're saying.
It's
Right?
like, why are you guys laughing? You know, that kind of
Don't
thing
worry
when a
about it.
kid
You like
goes, why are the, yeah, don't worry. Well, I'll explain it to you when you're older. Don't worry.
But like I remember like growing up like having movies like that where like for it was like Disney movies, but it was for families where like your parents would laugh at something and you wouldn't really get it. But like now I watch it, I find new things to love about these kind of movies.
Yeah. And you're right. It's something that any age can watch because you're only going to understand certain concepts at a certain point in your life. So the stuff that's like way adult, the kids aren't going to be hurt by that because they're not getting exactly what's being said. So I think that's what's so
And I
great
think
about
some
this
great
film.
examples of those would be like, Corpse Bride was one that like you like as a little kid, but like, there's a lot of things in there that you don't understand until older. I think the original Adams Family, there was a lot of
Yeah.
like, great for little kids love it, but like mom and dad also love it. There's a lot of good things going on there. Any of the Disney classics, I would say, everywhere from Hercules to Aladdin to Little Mermaid, all had that appeal to any age, you know, and
So I
had
got
those
to
movies
ask,
as a kid.
are you just saying all this stuff because your partner is trying to make sure you give this a good
Well,
review?
actually, I hate to admit it, but maybe he was right about this movie because I want you to know I gave him a lot of shit when we watched this movie. We were on vacation. I'm like, okay, Jake, you and your little romances, little stuff or whatever. I guess I'll watch it for you because I love you, and I guess I can't could choose what we watch every night. And I watched it. I'm like, okay. I went in there being like, okay, I'm gonna look at my phone through most of this, and then I was like, man, this is great. I'm having a good time. Now I'm gonna have to admit that I was wrong, and I don't like doing that so much.
Right. As long as I've known you, yeah, you don't like admitting that you're wrong on
I don't like
something.
that I'm wrong. And I was sitting there like, and he's like, so what'd you think? I'm like, it was okay. Too
Or
bad.
no, I'm glad because our first review was Strangers. We did horror. This is animated. I'm glad that we're starting with films that do have a unique vision that aren't the cash grab formula where we're sitting here picking movies that, oh, this was made to make as much money as possible from its predecessor, that sort of thing. That we are actually watching films that stand on their own.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll eventually get down the line where we'll get to a bad movie, and I'm sure we'll clown on it. But so far, I've enjoyed the movies. The two movies we've done so far.
Yeah, the two,
The
and
two
yeah,
I've been pretty great.
we've hit such a high percentage of all the films that are out there.
I know, right?
That's
But
the bad thing with film watching is I'll say this in general for film watching, no matter how many movies you watch, there's always so many you haven't seen or some you need to revisit, right? Like you'll forget parts and you want to rewatch it. So that's the thing about like I collect physical media and there's still so many titles that I'm like I would like to have. So this is one of those if they ever came out with the physical release down the road, because I do know Netflix is going to be doing some physical stores. They're actually in the process of doing it now, where there's going to be like live entertainment, food, a shop inside the places.
isn't
I
it
think
interesting how everything eventually goes back?
it's so funny because I remember them saying, "Oh, physical media is dead. We're all going digital," and then like
Now I
on
see
it,
like, especially in college, everyone has like CD players now. They all have record players. They're getting their DVDs back and CDH sticks, and like all of that is coming back into style. You know what I mean?
And part of that, I think, because like I know I have an Xbox and they've got that you can't buy movies on there anymore because you used to be able to buy movies digital. Now they're no longer doing that. So you have to
Well,
get
I
your
also think
movies.
like people are getting back to physical media because we're all getting fed up with streaming services. And one thing something's on there, and then you have to get another streaming services because half the shit that was on there has been made into its own streaming service, and now you have 15 memberships, and now you're paying just as much as if you just bought the movie yourself at this point.
Right. It's gotten to the point where the prices are going up. You have a show you like on, let's say Netflix. They lose the rights. It expires at the end of the year. So then it goes over to Peacock. And then 2 years later, it goes over to Disney. And so people, rather than paying rising membership cost, you can just buy the movie outright. So if this movie were to get a release, a steelbook or 4K or Blu-ray, whatever, I think it's going to sell out really quick and they're going to have to make a lot more. They're going to have to put out in a large volume.
Because like I think we're all fed up with the fucking games you have to play, and now like you can pay for a membership and still have to pay for no ads, and like the whole reason we had streaming services is to watch movies and TV without advertisements whenever you want, and now you got to like pay an arm and a leg extra to get that, and I think the world's getting real tired of all of that.
Yes, and I think we should at some point do a video where we talk about like what the pros and cons are of streaming versus physical media and kind of get into that a little bit.
And I think streaming services are learning this because you see a lot more TV shows released episodically, like every week or halfway. Because TV shows are very like this, you know what I mean? Like they're really cool for a week and then they're not. Because since they're not released episodically anymore, everyone watches it within a week and then it dies down and it's not talked about. So like you're getting a lot less legacy shows anymore.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
back when The Office was on, it would break networks because everyone would tune in every single week to watch it. Back when, like, you look at the legacy of Friends or some of these iconic TV shows, the world would stop on the Friday afternoon that would, be on television.
Oh yeah, you go out to eat and every like I remember going with like my grandparents or parents and everybody was talking about the newest episodes of certain shows. Even in college, I remember Pretty Little Liars being all the rage, and I would talk to different people. Like I would watch it. My sister got me into it, and I would watch it, and we would talk about who we thought the killer was each week, and it was so exciting. What I wish would happen is when they do a streaming show and it's going to be 8 to 10 episodes, say this is the date it's coming out, and it's going to be one episode a week for eight
See, they
weeks.
did that with like The Last of Us, and that worked really well for The Last of Us. And like they're kind of bringing that back. Like I see HBO do it a lot. What it
Okay.
keeps the interest. You know what I mean? Like having that release. I've also seen like I think they did it with Wednesday where they released one part and then the next part.
Yes, they did the first 4 episodes, and then a month later, they did the last four. Going back to this, do you see them doing? I know you already said they're doing a sequel film. Do you think we'll eventually get a series, or do you think they're going to stick with just keep doing films?
I think they'll keep with the films because for all the effort and everything, I think this would be very hard to do as a TV show and very hard, and it'd be one of those things that you would have to wait 5 years until the next thing came out if they did a full length TV show
Yeah.
with this animation style. Like I'm sure we're gonna have to wait years for the next sequel for the next movie because this kind of film doesn't get made quickly.
If I were to guess, I think the earliest we're going to see this is either late 27 or like early 28,
Probably, probably.
because I don't know how long it took them to create the first one. But I'm sure, yeah, there you go. I'm sure the time and effort it took for that team to do what they did, and people are going to want to keep. For me, I would rather it be like 3 years rather than rushing it because I want the same quality as this initial one.
Oh yeah, and I think because it's a musical, the songs will live on. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think the soundtrack. I think
The
if that.
animated film K-pop Demon Hunters took approximately 9 years to make.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
While
so
some,
it's going to be a while.
while some of the sources say it took 7 years, this is likely refers to the time director Maggie King first pitched the idea when the full production cycle was closer to 9 years.
Okay, wow. Um,
Because like the
so-
animation was so good, I knew that had to take 5 bajillion years.
right, and I would rather see less films but keep the quality. Don't
Yeah,
keep forcing it for a cash grab. Really stay true to your fans. And I think because if they were to go in and record a bunch of songs, actually this could be bigger. This could be one of those things where just like the film, where you have the voice actresses do it for so long, and then a younger group comes in and just continues the legacy. So they could even do that.
This could be. I could see this as being a long-term franchise.
I'll be honest, if they show up at like a convention, I think it'd be really cool to meet the trio.
Yes, they and I love that they seem lovely in interviews. I really, I do enjoy them in
I
there.
need to watch. I saw something they were on like they were on some talk shows and stuff.
Yeah, they seem like they seem like a good like they have good chemistry in real life as well.
That's good. Um, so you gave this probably a 3 out of 10. No, okay. So
No, no, no! You're trying to no, don't get
no,
me killed.
oh, don't get you killed. Okay, wait, is he right behind? Is he like right behind you?
I don't know. Is he? Can you see?
Blink twice if you feel like you're in danger. If you say anything negative.
Oh, you can't even see. You won't know.
Okay, okay.
Glasses.
See,
I'm about to get real close.
yeah, yeah. But let's see. We did the strangers. You know, I rate different movies. Um, I think okay because I think you gave the rating first last time.
Your turn.
All right, so soundtrack 10 out of 10. Every song's
Yeah.
great. Animation 10 out of 10. Love the style. Story arcs, like as far as character growth, 10 out of 10. Characters 10 out of 10. But overall, I give the movie a 10 out of 10. It's my first 10 out of 10 rating, and
Like really, it only took 2 movies to get there.
it's well. Here's the thing: I don't want to be one of those people that gives 10 out of 10 to everything, but this movie earned it, and I feel like for me personally, it would be a crime if I lied and tried to say, "Oh, I'm going to nitpick and give it a 9 or an 8," because no. It to me, it was a movie I didn't know I needed, and for that reason, I like it even more.
Okay. You're then. Ooh, you're going to say I'm nitpicky. So obviously, score 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
Characters. Let me explain why though. I'm giving it an 8 just because there was quite a few characters that were not explored and were more just there. The Saja boys, and I would have liked to see more of both of Zoe and the other two girls. I know they really focused on the two Jinyu and Rumi, but I was a little bit disappointed like certain characters that were not because like Rumi, I really like with Rumi. I get that her arc was the main thing, but like Zoe's insecurities, I would have liked to see more of. Maria is how you say her name.
Mira, Mira,
Mira.
yeah,
The
yeah.
whole idea of her being the black sheep of her family and her being really guarded, I would like to explore because they kind of imply that there may have been like some kind of abuse there and trauma that was just kind of mentioned but not fully developed. And so that's why I'm going to give character 8 because like the characters we did get were 10 out of 10. But there was a lot of characters that were kind of sidelined.
Okay, so you saying that I agree with because my thoughts were maybe they're going to give us more of the other characters in future movies. That's why I was kind of like trying to give it a break. But I completely like I can see where you're coming from on that.
Well, how how I do my scoring, I do, just based off this movie, what we know so far.
Okay,
How I score.
gotcha.
I would like to say I put down for dialogue. I thought the dialogue was great. We had a lot of great quotes.
Yes.
I think the jokes landed real well, so I gave that a 10 out of 10. Uh, Overall, I would say probably like a 9.8. Like it's pretty close to a 10, but like the I'm not gonna just because I really like the movie, I'm not gonna ignore the issues that are there.
That's fair. I'm glad you said that. I'll try to stick to like 9, 10, 8. I will, but you know, I will say that it's such a great film. So overall, our like average rating, we're so close to 10 on it that this is our highest score so far. Because Strangers, we were 7 and 8. This one we're like right there at almost at 10.
Because
So
like I
this
was trying to like how I do my scoring is I think of what to me is a 10 out of 10 movie and what to me is a 0 movie. So like a 10 out of 10 to me movie, and I know I'm probably like gonna get flamed for this, but like obviously The Dark Knight to me is a 10 out of 10 movie. You know what I mean? It that there I see basically no flaw with it. Um, and that's a pretty high bar. Like The Dark Knight is probably one of the most well regarded movies in history. Uh, and so I compare it like that way. And then I think of like The Room. Have you ever seen like clips of The Room?
I haven't, no.
It's so bad it's funny. Like it's the worst movie ever, and that's like where that's my 0. So somewhere from The Room to The Dark Knight is where all movies land.
So I'm glad you said that because for me, a 0 means there's no entertainment value to be had. You start the movie, you watch a little bit of it, and you say, "I can't even get through this," and you turn it off. There's like nothing redeemable.
When we get off later, we'll make you look up like a TikTok clip just so you know how bad it is because it is
Oh,
unwatchable.
jeez.
it makes you want to like ply your eyeballs out. It's
A
so
t
bad.
a 10 out of 10 to me still doesn't mean that the movie's perfect, but it was perfect to me, like, it was made for my taste, so it doesn't mean that there aren't flaws, it's just I'm accepting that some people may not agree with me, but I'm looking past some of the flaws and I'm saying, "Hey, this was catered to me." So Beetlejuice, those films to me, or Greatest Showman, those kind of films would be like where I look at it. Do I feel moved by the movie? Do I feel like I learned something about myself? Did it make me feel a certain way? Was there some relation with the characters?
I
Like
think
those are
I
the kind
maybe
of
agree
things
on a
I
little
look
bit of both because I think about the quality of the film and what I think about it. You know what I mean? And like I dare someone try to find a really really good critique of the Dark Knight. Like I mean, like not just a petty nitpick, like a really an actual critique of that movie. You know what I mean? Like the Dark Knight, and to me, like it's just one of those movies. You know, there's a
the
reason why I had so many Oscars.
The only negative thing I can say about The Dark Knight isn't even negative. It's that the villain outshines the hero with the performance. Like the villain had such a good performance. And Gary Oldman, to me, the moment, as I told you before, where he's like, "We got you, you son of a bitch," and he's pointing the gun at him. That was like amazing. Like, oh my god, this is amazing story. I went to theaters for that when that came out with some coworkers of mine.
Mm.
So I would have been, I think, high school when that came out, and I went with some coworkers that we would get a group and go to movies together, and everyone's so busy. Like I'll go to a movie with like one or two friends, but it would be nice to get a group of like 3 or 4 people and just like go to a movie. So when this comes out for the limited release, I am going to try to get into a theater and see this on the big screen.
I would say probably the last movie I saw in like a large group was Final Destination Bloodlines, and that was definitely worth it to go to the group with your friends and like all like jump and all the gross shit of that movie.
I think the last big group outing I went to a movie that I could think of would have been, because usually it's 2 or 3 of us, but the last big group would have been the last Spider-Man they did with the 3 Spider-Man showing up.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
It was for my buddy's birthday, so we had a big group for that. And no, I can't say that. There was another film. I'm trying to think though what it was. I know. Oh, Hunger Games, the prequel, Ballad of
The
Songbirds and
Battle of
Snakes.
Songbirds and Snakes.
I that was from that came out on my birthday, and like we installed on my birthday with a group of friends, and that was an experience because my favorite singer is Olivia Rodrigo. She
Yeah,
had a song at the end credits that was made for that movie. You watch the music video.
and that's
It
a great
tells
song.
the
I do really love
story.
that song by her,
Yeah, it's her best vocal performance period, I think, just
and
because
it worked really well in the movie as well. You know,
like you see the music video, it's on like YouTube,
that's a beautiful like her in the woods with the light coming in the cabin. Yeah,
right? Because it tells the story and it makes you wonder. Like at that end of that movie, I'm like, okay, is she alive or is she dead? So there were all these theories going around. So I like movies that make
I
you
would
think.
say controversial opinion. I really like the Songbirds and Snakes. Okay, I know there's a lot of criticism
Oh, I
on
did
the movie,
too.
but I enjoyed the movie. Okay, my mom did not like the movie at all. I
I
enjoyed it.
enjoyed it.
I
I
enjoyed
enjoyed
the
the hell
book.
out
I
of
had
it.
already read the book. I've enjoyed pretty much every Hunger Games movie. Hunger Games is very close to my heart. Everyone else that doesn't like it, I guess, suck it.
Well, I liked it more because it was more primal. It was
Yeah,
before they had all of the best treatment of the, the
the
victors
captain.
or the captain. Yeah, like it was early on in the Hunger Games. It shows you how bad it could be, and it really
I
matched
also
the
think
book
that President
description.
Snow has been there for all of it.
Yeah, but final thoughts on K-pop Demon Hunters. I look to see more. I hope we do see it. I know they said there's a sequel in development. I hope it's not rushed and that they actually make it the quality the same to keep it good.
Not only am I excited to see more of this, I hope this expires more, and the filmmaking community as a whole. I hope
Yeah,
it leads to
more.
bigger things for animation in general
I
worldwide.
want to see more movies like this, more movies like Anora, more movies that are different, that are actually inspired by either original thinking or, you know what, this has been done a lot, but let's put this spin on it. And just being more innovative, not doing the cash grab. Oh, this is going to make $300 million. Let's put out a movie a year or every 2 years because we can make a lot of money. Put out movies that are going to actually mean something to people.
And on a personal level, I will recommend this. I did not put this in my scoring, but if you are to make movies like this, don't kill the hot guy by then.
I hate when they kill the like the girlfriends in the movies whenever is actually a good part of the story. I hate it. Like when you hope
I
for the
was
couple
so
to work
mad when he
out.
died. Like I would be doing when I watched this with my partner. I'm like, you didn't tell me he died by the end. Why would you do this to me? How could
Right?
how could you have me watch this movie and not tell me?
It's not always going to have a happy ending, and that's I like that too. That it is realistic in that
Well, like
sense.
I
But
thought with this like family oriented movie, because like listen, I do love subverting endings. But like a lot of the times the family movies, they always and this had a positive ending. But like usually it's very rare that they would do this. It's very rare that they would kill the main love interest. So I was so taken off guard and shocked. I like literally had to stop the movie the first time I watched it. I'm like, Jake, you gotta be kidding me. He's dead? Like for real? Like he's not coming back? He's like, no. Like I had a whole plan, okay? I had a whole vision. I
I
was
like to think part of his soul stuck with her. Like that's what I like the
I
most.
feel like looking back because now that I've watched it multiple times, he will be back.
I plan on giving this a rewatch, maybe tonight or tomorrow. But I love it. Like I absolutely
I
loved
know
it.
this is a great movie. I found to have in the background because the music's just great.
And
And
and I'm not the biggest ramen fan, but this makes me want to go grab a cup of ramen and sit down and actually watch this film.
you know, really get into it.
Really
Right?
get into it. But no, like honestly, this is one I would love to see on the big screen. So I do think I'm gonna if I'm off on one of
Oh,
the days,
the
it's gonna
music with that
play.
surround sound going on.
Oh my god, yes. Because even if you just take the soundtrack out of this, it's such okay. You had Ready Player One, you have this movie, K-pop Demon Hunters. You have I'm trying to think of some other ones. Avatar. You have what I call movies that were a part of pop culture history, and I
Yes.
think this is one of those.
Oh, definitely. I
Because
think
Ready Player One was like the last really big one that I can think of where it's like, oh my god. Well, no, Ready Player One, Avengers Endgame, like those type of films where it's a big part of pop culture we're going to be talking about for a while.
oh, I definitely agree with that one. Uh I mean, I guess just for final thoughts, I overall really enjoyed it. Can't wait to see more from all of the people that worked on the film. I love the voice actors. The acting was great. The voice was good. The music was awesome. The writing was good. The direction, the art, the animation, all of it was really pretty damn good.
But could you imagine if like they're interviewing somebody in the entertainment industry and like, well, we see you want to help with the animation style. What projects have you done? And they just see K-pop Demon, you're hired. Welcome
You're,
aboard.
you're welcome aboard. You know.
Yeah, like if you can have that on your resume that you worked on this film, that's a huge thing to have on your resume because I just loved it.
Well, I guess we're getting towards the end. Unless there's anything else you want to add.
I can't really think of anything else. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts were on this film.
And
Who
don't
did you
forget to
connect with?
like, comment, and subscribe.
That's right. But yeah,
That's what you're supposed to tell people.
who did you connect with in the story? What were your thoughts? What were your favorite aspects? Were there things that could have been better? Were there things that we didn't point out? We want to get the conversation going. So let us know
And
in the
now that we got
comments.
a few episodes up now, if you really want to help us out, you'll go from this video to another one of our videos because that will help us a lot in the algorithm. So, family, friends, if you really care about us, you'll watch more than one episode in a row.
And if you don't, we're going to guilt trip you and make the puppy dog eyes until
We're
you
gonna
do.
be really sad about it.
Yeah, we're probably not going to get you as nice of a Christmas gift.
I know. So we will see you all next week.
Yes, we'll be back for another episode next week.
Goodbye.